Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. But if you're new here, my name's Tyler and I just do consistent content on all things related hockey in the NHL overall. And we were talking about another player that could very well be in a new uniform on a new roster as soon as next season. And that is pending UFA 30-year-old, soon to be 31-year-old winner in November. And Mike Hoffman. Hoffman plays both the right and the left wing, which is great, especially on the power play. And that right dot on the power play with the left-hand shot can rip those bombs for sure. But Hoffman has been a bona fide goal scorer in the NHL since being an NHL regular back 6 seasons ago. Has had at least 20 goals in each of those seasons. And this past season had 29 goals and 59 points in 69 games. A very solid winner, 6'1", 182 pounds, and has a lot to give still. Yes, he will be turning 31, but I still think there's plenty left in the tank when it comes to Hoffman. He's one of the better goal scorers and all the NHL and really gets slept on. But when it comes to the Florida Panthers side of things, Bill Zito, the newly crowned GM, made a great move for Patric Hornqvist yesterday. That took forever. I did a video on that. If you want to check that out, make sure you do. But they are definitely going to want to keep both Hoffman and Dadonov, but the realistic possibility of that happening is slim to none. They had the opportunity to trade one of those winners, at least if not both, at the trade deadline back in late February. That didn't happen between Hoffman having to modify no trade clause and with the Florida Panthers trying to make playoffs, in which they eventually didn't. Even though they went to the qualifying round, it's still not technically playoffs. So a disappointing year for the Panthers. They're going to change up a lot of things. I trust in Bill Zito, but I think Dadonov is the only guy between those two where he very well could stay with the Panthers. It is stretching it a little bit, but it is possible because they can land him on a cheaper cap hit than the likes of Hoffman. Hoffman currently has a cap hit of 5.187 mil and will surely look between 6.5 to 7.5 AAV in the open market starting on October 9th. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. But a lot of teams are going to be interested in the likes of Mike Hoffman, and for good reason. But there are 3 teams that really stand out to me, and those are the New York Islanders, the Montreal Canadiens, and the St. Louis Blues. And I would like to also give an honorable mention to the Nashville Predators. These are all teams that, besides the Habs for the most part, have kind of a cap crunch, have their own cap issues, but there's reason to believe why they would be interested in the likes of Hoffman, because these are all teams that could definitely use bona fide goal scoring in their top 6. So that's what I'll be discussing with you. These teams, the opportunity that they have in Hoffman, what they will have to do and possibly acquire Hoffman given their cap situation, and overall what seems like the best fit for him. So let's start with the Florida Panthers real quick some more. So assuming that he doesn't re-sign with them, the Panthers are going to have a very interesting winner group going forward. Like I said, I'm really looking forward to the likes of Tippett and Denisenko. Hornqvist in that top 9 will be great. I expect more moves with the Panthers this offseason, but I don't think Hoffman is coming back nonetheless. So starting with the New York Islanders. The Islanders, I touched on them in a video recently regarding Matty Barzal and teams that could possibly offer sheet him. Now look, I know it's not a realistic possibility, but it's still possible at the end of the day and is worth the discussion. So make sure to check that out if you're interested. When it comes to the Islanders, they have a cap hit currently of 8.9 mil. So that is not great by any means. Oh, I just want to mention one more thing too. Hoffman had 70 points and 82 games last season. I don't know if I mentioned that in the video, including a career high in 36 goals. So like I said, he has been a bona fide goal scorer in the NHL for quite some time. And even though he has been controversial between his girlfriend and Erik Karlsson's wife back to the situation with the Ottawa Senators, which led him to eventually being traded in the offseason after the 2017-2018 season, that was looking good on Hoffman's side of things. Make sure to check that out and look it up if you don't know the story. It is not great at all. Really, honestly disturbing. But nonetheless, Hoffman gets traded to San Jose Sharks for basically a bag of pucks, and San Jose takes full advantage of that and flips him shortly after to the Florida Panthers for a better return than what Ottawa sent. So that was kind of funny in that sense. But going back to the New York Islanders now, they have a current cap space of 8.9 mil, and they have 3 pending RFAs and the likes of Matty Barzal, Ryan Pulock, and Devon Toews. Now the likelihood of them keeping all these RFAs is slim to none unless they sign really good team-friendly deals for, say, a bridge deal or 3 years. Yes, they may be able to buy out the likes of Cal Clutterbuck, which very well could happen by the time I upload this video. I'm not sure, because buyout window does start today. I'm not looking forward to that for obvious reasons if you know me as a Rangers fan, but nonetheless, when it comes to this Islanders team, they're going to try to keep all these 3 players. Now, it'll be definitely difficult for the likes of Lamoriello, no question. But assuming that they can make the cap work, they're going to pursue Mike Hoffman more than likely. They need help in that top 6. They've been expressing that. They helped it with the likes of JG Pageau at the deadline, but they would like more. And Hoffman, a bona fide 25 to 30 goal scorer for a solid deal. They will overpay more than likely being on the UFA market. Nonetheless, it would help them big time. So they will have to move a lot of things. They may have to buy out the likes of Cal Clutterbuck. They may have to move some other guys that necessarily they don't want to move. Casey Cizikas is a fan favorite, so I'm not sure if I would see him dealt, but he does have a cap hit that isn't great given the type of player that he is when it comes to point production. given the fact that they do have to sign these RFAs now. So I get it. Cizikas is a great heart and soul guy, great in that bottom six, a great shutdown guy too for the Islanders, but they have a lot of contracts that really aren't looking great. And it's not that the players are bad by any means. It's just, it's hurting them now that they have these key RFAs on the table. So assuming Lou Lamoriello can control this, even if he say loses one of these RFAs, they will definitely pursue Hoffman. So be on the lookout for him. They will have to make the cap work. Lou will have to work his magic, if you will. He did just win GM of the year, so who knows what will happen, but I expect the Islanders to definitely try and pursuing the likes of Hoffman or some other wingers on the market, regardless of their cap situation for the most part. I think they will definitely try to do some salary dumps, maybe make some moves at the draft that they need to. Maybe they trade away that Ottawa Senators first round pick that they originally, I shouldn't say Ottawa Senators first round pick. I'm getting myself confused. Maybe they trade away their future first round picks for a salary dump. Nonetheless, I expect the Islanders to make moves this offseason, so be on the lookout for them for the likes of Mike Hoffman. Now getting on to another team in, of course, the Montreal Canadiens. Yes, I've connected the Habs to so many players, UFAs and RFAs over these past couple weeks, but for good reason. Marc Bergevin has made some very solid moves with the likes of Jake Allen for that 1A, 1B tandem as a salary dump, and also bringing the likes of Joel Edmondson to help round out that defense for sure. They signed him to a contract extension also. But nonetheless, when it comes to this Habs team, they're more than likely going to deal the likes of Max Domi, maybe Philip Deneau, who seemed to be unhappy. He doesn't want to be a third line centerman, and that looks like the case with the likes of Jesperi Kotkaniemi and Nick Suzuki in front of him at this point in time. Jeff Petrie could very well be traded depending on if they help defense more. They've been connected to Matt Dumba, but I don't know how realistic that is. I did touch on it in video though, so if you are interested, make sure to check it out. But I think when it comes to the Habs and Marc Bergevin, they want to help this offense for sure. Even with the likes of Brendan Gallagher and Thomas Tatar having 1 year left on their contract before being UFAs, they still want to address this offense any way they can going into next season. So if they go for the likes of Taylor Hall and land him on a big contract long term, great. But assuming that say doesn't happen and they don't offer Sheeta Barzell, because I mentioned them as a possible team to do that, if they don't go for those bigger fish or at least aren't able to land them successfully, then bring Mike Hoffman into the equation. This is something they can do. They have 10.2 mil currently in cap space and they could afford him as it is. So be on the lookout for the Montreal Canadiens for sure. I expect them to make plenty of moves this offseason. Some guys that maybe the Habs fans don't necessarily want to see leave, but it could be for the betterment of this team going forward, as they are really trying to compete for playoffs going forward. They have a great prospect pool, a lot of promise, and have a good balance of youth and veteran leadership in that locker room currently. So be on the lookout for the Habs. I won't be surprised if they go for the likes of Mike Hoffman from all the reports I've seen. But last but not least, we have the St. Louis Blues. Now, I know when it comes to St. Louis Blues, the Alexander Pietrangelo situation. I just did a video yesterday regarding how the Vegas Golden Knights are supposedly aggressively pursuing Pietrangelo. Make sure to check that out if you're interested. I did a video 2 weeks ago on the likes of Toronto Maple Leafs possibly landing him. It'll be very difficult for all these teams nonetheless, but St. Louis is not going to reach a deal with Pietrangelo. That's what it seems at this point in time. They've reached a stalemate. They can't land on the number, and St. Louis isn't willing to give a bonus, which is what Pietrangelo wants, given the prorated salaries that are sure to come in the near future. So assuming that Pietrangelo hits the UFA market, they will have the possibility to address this offense. Now, it still won't be easy. They currently only have cap space of 5.15 mil, but there is speculation that they will try their best to do salary dumps of at least one of the Tyler Bozaks or the Jaden Schwartz of the world. They both have at least a cap of 5 mil for 1 more year, and they both have modified no trade clauses, which makes things more difficult. But nonetheless, if they need to say cough up a first round pick at the draft to do a salary dump, I think it is something they will definitely consider. I think we're going to see a lot of teams either do buyouts this year, starting today, and or doing salary dumps for sure, given the cap situations with everyone, for teams that can really take a big cap hit for a say good prospect and or first round pick. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there, but St. Louis could definitely address this top 6 even if Pietrangelo's gone. Their defense I still trust. I like Colin Parayko and a lot of those guys too, so I'm not too worried on the defensive front as I am when it comes to that offense. Vladimir Tarasenko had surgery again. I'm not sure what the timetable is for him. Hopefully he's back sooner rather than later next season, but the likelihood of him being back right away for the beginning of the season doesn't seem obvious at this point in time. So assuming that is the case, the St. Louis Blues have struggled a little bit offensively over these past couple of years, even with their great Stanley Cup run. So if they bring in a guy like Hoffman at say between 6.5 and 7.5 mil, I say you do it. Yes, they will have to get rid of some contracts. Maybe they'll have to do a buyout of possibly the likes of Alexander Steen or one of these other players to say trade for a salary dump, for instance. But all the options are on the table. Doug Armstrong is a very smart GM. GM, and I fully trust in him with the St. Louis Blues. And I think he's smart at the end of the day for not really budging with Pietrangelo too. I think he's really focused on this team, not just short term and long term. That's just my personal opinion, but I really trust in him. So I think they will definitely look at the likes of Mike Hoffman for sure. And if they can land him at the right cap hit, and yes, I know Vince Dunn, you have to talk about too. He is an RFA. He will more likely get between, I'd say, 3.5 to 4 mil, even though he's probably deserving more. I can expect him on a team-friendly contract. So assuming that is the case, the cap situation will be tough for sure. But nonetheless, expect the St. Louis Blues to try to free up plenty of cap space this offseason in acquiring possibly a top 6 forward in the likes of Mike Hoffman. But when it comes to an honorable mention as well, keep the Nashville Predators in mind. They're a team that really stands out to me. They're a team I mentioned also in my Matty Barzal offer sheet video possibly. It's a stretch, but it is still possible. If they can move that Kyle Turris contract, whether they buy it out or trade it, if they can salary dump it, then that is the best move for them, because I believe he has 4 years left on that 6 mil cap hit. Not looking great at all, but nonetheless, if the Preds and David Poile can try to address this offense, because it has not clicked while they have a lot of hefty contracts on that team, I'd say you do it. They are still in a win now stage, and they will definitely be looking for help in that top 6, top 9 for sure this offseason. That's just my assumption. So if they do land Hoffman in the end, then come back here and know that I had it first, or at least I think I had it first. I didn't see any reports actually directing Predators to the Hoffman, so that's definitely more hypothetical on my side. But a lot of teams are going to be interested in the likes of Mike Hoffman, and for good reason. He's a fantastic top 6 forward. His defensive game is lacking, but nonetheless, he will bring you bona fide goal scoring. That is exactly what you were looking for as an opposing GM this offseason when you were struggling with your offense. So be on the lookout for Mike Hoffman to hit free agency this year. I think the Florida Panthers are going to be fine. I'm really excited to see what other deals Bill Zito has left in the tank, because he is looking like an absolute G, given the fact they got rid of that Michael Matheson contract, in my opinion. But nonetheless, I'm very excited to see what this offseason holds, and make sure to come back to this channel if you're interested in seeing all the deets. And I also plan on live streaming the entire first round of the NHL draft on October 6th, so make sure you're here for that. But if you like this kind of hockey content, hit like, hit subscribe, tell all your friends. It would mean a lot to me. We just passed 1K, so thank you all so much, guys. I really love and appreciate everyone, all the love and appreciation. It means so much to me, truly. So comment all your thoughts down below. Where do you think Mike Hoffman is going to land, assuming he hits free agency? And what other teams do you think could possibly be interested in the likes of Mike Hoffman? There are plenty of others, but between cap situations and just where they currently are as a team, that is why I narrowed this down to really 3 to 4 teams in particular. But thank you all so much, guys. Check out my previous videos regarding other pending UFAs to hit the market this offseason, or other trade rumors regarding plenty of great players in the NHL currently. I have plenty more to come out shortly. So thank you all so much, guys. Comment down below, and I'll be back very, very soon.